Welcome back to another episode of A Record of My Father. Today we're going to be talking about anger. This is a counterpart to our other series on love and fear. I think doing one on emotions is interesting, you know. Oh,
No,
nope.
that was me. Sorry.
Yeah, your camera went out there.
I know.
But here we are.
I was trying to
Um,
expand it, and I'm a technical wizard. You know
there
that.
you are. I think it's so funny that you were in law firm research information
Yeah.
technology, specifically a
Yes.
technology-oriented field. I think
Yeah.
that that's interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I've been angry in my life, you know.
hmm
Have you been angry
Really?
in your life?
Never.
Never
Never.
angry once.
Well, I mean, let's read the little definition here. Anger is a natural, intense emotional response to a perceived threat, hurt, or injustice. It typically involves feelings of tension, hostility, antagonism, often urging a fight reaction to overcome or remove the source of the provocation. I could run through the times that I've been angry and the times I've been more angry than, oh my gosh. I can think about like when I work construction, I work for WG Construction. This is 45 years ago. And we were working at the Harry Diamond Laboratories, and I was on the second floor. We used to work, it was 8 hours a day, but it was pretty intensive, and it was, physical work all day long. And we were climbing scaffolding, and somebody dumped a bunch of stuff on me from above and laughed. And he was a bricklayer laborer, right? And I grabbed a brick and I was going to hit him with it. And there were like six people there, and I was realizing that if I hit him, that it would be I would be fired. Those six guys would beat me senseless, and I would be thrown off the scaffolding. But I was so angry that he did that that I climbed down the ladder. I went and got in my car, and I left. I just fucking walked off the job site. I was just like blistering. I rarely, but it was so weird because I was like freaking out because inside it's very weird when you're at that point where if I would have had a gun, I would have killed him because it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's Thursday. You've already worked 40 hours in the week. You're sweating your balls off. You're hot. You're over. They're dumping calc in the or whatever the hell it was. They
Talk.
used to put
Do what?
No, they used to put dust in the center of all of the cinder blocks, which turned out to be asbestos, which, hey, great breathing that shit when people are jumping 50-pound bags above your head and it's floating in the air and you can't, I can't taste anything today. Anyway, another story. But I remember that it just set me off that it was, and he was trying to be funny because it's really hot. So he dumps water on me, and it was a glass. I don't know what it was, but it made me so like blistering mad that it's like I couldn't. And I remember it. I remember it very vividly. I went to my car, and the foreman's there, and he's a buddy. The guy that was the best man in my wedding. He was his older brother.
Oh
And he's
well.
like, you just got to calm down. You just got fuck you. I was just like blistering red. Got in the car, drove off at like 65 miles an hour on the dirt road. I was all the way out the thing, and then I came back like 2 hours later. No, I didn't come back. He stopped by my house on the way home and said, "Okay, come back tomorrow." So it was like it was not, it just
Sometimes you need to distance yourself, you know.
I had a
I
tipping
think that
point and
that's
I
an
left,
important
and
thing to
it's like
do.
I think about that, and I've had that happen a number of times where I'll someone will do something that'll make me uh like not like when women do it I have no brain. It just hurts, and I punch holes in the wall and scream and cry and do all the silly stuff that all things that all guys do. But when somebody else infringes on me and I have no power to respond to it, or I do have power, I think, which I think is what makes me incredibly dangerous. Because when you encroach on Phil Brown, I like if you do something that I think through everything I'm going to do. And then when I start, I'm going to do it.
Well,
And I don't
that
care.
reminds me of all the times,
Mhm.
specifically in traffic, I think, and when
Yeah.
somebody is in the far left lane
Yeah.
and they are riding the left lane and they which is a passing lane for all
Yeah.
listeners. That is in fact a passing lane.
Oh, yeah. That.
You should not ride the left lane. I don't know why people don't know that. They don't
Yeah.
teach you that in driving school, funny enough. They teach you how to
Right.
parallel park, but they don't teach you that the left lane is a passing lane. But
Yeah.
no, you always feel like I think I remember asking him like, why are you so frustrated? And you said, well, they're trying to control me. And I'm like, I don't know if they know that. I think
Yeah.
sometimes definitely. Sometimes definitely people are like, oh, whatever. But I think a
Yeah.
lot of times, because I've been in the car with people, and I'm like, why are you in this lane? They're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, whoa, like it's not. It's weird that that isn't a universal known
Seattle will give you
thing.
a ticket.
Really,
Yeah. The police will ticket
as they
you
should.
if you do the speed limit. If you do the speed limit in the left lane, you get a ticket.
I like
I
that.
think it's a speed
I
limit
like that
or
a
you
lot.
a speed limit and impede. But frankly, they say anybody doing the speed limit in the left lane is impeding traffic.
I mean, it's
Always.
true. That's a good point.
It's just everywhere. It's a passing lane. Pass, move over, and let people go through because then you're gonna unclog the traffic. The problem with people that stop there is all of a sudden you have no fast people, medium people, slow people driving, and you lose that everybody's moving forward. And then you got the nut
Yeah.
like me that's like I'm in the fast lane, and it bothers me. It's just like when I pass somebody and I go up to the stoplight, they catch me at the stop. Well, look, he's right at the stoplight with me, and it's like, yeah, but I'm in front of you, and I'm going to go when I go, and I'm not going to wait for you, and you're not going to look at your phone and wait. I mean, those are frustrations. Those are really more frustration than anger,
Yeah,
and
anger's different than
I
frustration. That's
I
fair.
really I really voice it, and I love.
Y-
I think that
Yeah.
when your windows are rolled up and you say that you hope the other person's family dies and they all
Mhm.
get they all get burned to death and the world scorches the earth of them and everything just because they cut you off in traffic,
Well, I think me and you had a
or they
conversation.
don't take off when the light turns green and it's 2 seconds later.
We had a
They deserve to die.
conversation about a decade ago, and I think you were
Yeah,
yelling in the car.
yeah,
And I was like, "Why are you so angry?" And you're like, "Well, why are you like bothered by me being
being angry.
angry?" And I'm like, "But you're yelling in the car, and I'm in the
Yeah.
passenger seat, and I am affected by that.
Okay.
I am affected by environmental change and emotion, right?
And
I
me
mean, if
too.
somebody's screaming in the car and it's really loud, I mean, chances are it's going to affect somebody that's also in the car. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Just
guess I guess
my 2 cents. But what do
no,
I?
it's fair. That's
Yeah.
fair. That's a fair assessment.
Mhm.
I had that my whole life.
There you go. See?
And it
Environmental
it
emotion changes
absolutely
things. Yeah.
affects you. It makes you nervous. It makes you worried. It makes
On
you
edge.
on edge that the person's going to do something crazy. And for me, it's a great release of tension when someone cuts you off. If I don't need to flick somebody off, I don't need a physical
No,
activity. I
I
don't need to
stopped
point a gun
doing
at them.
that. I
I
used
don't.
to,
Yeah,
but I stopped doing it when I read that article about the woman that didn't do it on purpose, that cut a guy off in Virginia. I think it was an exit that was actually near where I grew up and where
yeah.
you now live. And the guy shot through her back window, killed her kid. And I
Oh,
think that, and that was just from cutting somebody perceiving that they were cut off. And I
yeah.
was like, well, maybe I should never flick somebody off ever again,
Well, yeah.
because
I
you
don't.
never know. I don't understand why people keep guns in the car. I think that's crazy. I
No,
think that that's the worst because chances are, I mean, if it's in your house, 85% of the time you shoot your kid or your somebody in the
your
immediate
kids'
family
friends.
anyway.
That's who I would think I would shoot. If in my
Exactly.
house there's like 6 people, I would murder one of them because they would come over at 12 o'clock. Hey man, let's go! Boom,
Exactly.
party.
But yeah, no, that's why I think keeping guns in the car is silly. I
Yeah.
understand you wanna, I don't know, protect your freedom and whatnot. Understandable. But
Mhm.
in the car, really, I mean, chances are, who's going to try to rob you while you're driving 60 miles an hour? I don't think very many people are. There are many pirates out there,
I
many
think it's when
car
you stop and when you
pirates.
get out. It's when you stop and you
That's
get out.
fair.
There's
Yeah.
there's there's people that park and work in bad areas and they like to have protection. But if you leave it in the car and the car gets broken into, you lose it. So you carry it on yourself. That's why people carry guns, because they're worried that other people carry guns and they're frightened of that.
I will say a lot
Uh,
of human trafficking happens at gas stations too. So I will say
yeah,
that that is actually a
yeah,
good reason. Yeah,
yeah.
no, a ton of human trafficking happens there. Because there was even a story, I remember,
Well, see, that's why I understand women carrying, but I don't
yeah,
understand, like,
men carrying it doesn't
you
really
know,
make much sense. But yeah, I remember the iDrive Smart guy where I went to driving school
yeah.
talked about this woman that was followed to a gas station, and this guy she got out to get gas, and she went into the
Mhm.
mini mart, and the mini mart guy locked the door. He locked the front door, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Some guy just walked into your back seat of your car. He
Oh,
walked in like while the gas is pumping.
got in. Yeah.
Yeah, got in the back of her car." And I'm like, that's
Mm.
crazy. That's scary. Scary stuff.
Yeah.
Scary stuff. Scary, scary stuff. But
Yeah.
then if the gun was in the car, she couldn't do anything, I mean,
It wouldn't do anything. You got to have it
wouldn't have
on
done
you.
anything, actually.
And then if you have it on you, it's like, then you
You're
don't have
shooting a
that
gas station?
opportunity.
That's
You,
scary.
you don't have an opportunity to think.
Well, it's hard to, I mean, not many people can quick draw without shooting themselves, I think. I don't know. That's just
Yeah.
my
And
two.
I mean, even the cops can't. I mean, they
There
tend to shoot people, and
you go.
they're in theory trained. And how often do their shots hit their mark?
Very, very rarely. Very
It
well.
seems like
It's also
more
because
rare than it is real. It's easy to shoot a standing target that's sitting there waiting. It's a piece of
exactly.
wood.
And
It
you
is
know that
not the
you're
same.
going to use your gun too. Like
Right.
it's always like people can't hit a moving target at all because of the adrenaline and whatnot. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very
Right.
very difficult in that
Well,
certain
I mean,
circumstance. I
Bob
think.
had this.
Oh, I was
Go
going
ahead.
to say an esthetician in California needs more hours of training than a police officer does,
Yeah.
which I think is interesting. I don't know.
Well, that's what I mean. They're all angry. That's what we're talking about, anger. But
Yep.
you were talking about stress and aiming and stuff. It's like Bob, a buddy of mine, told a story. He's in the Marines, and he said the in I guess in the late '60s, early '70s, there was the guy for the Marine. He was the sharpshooter, the best pistol shooter in the country. He was number one. He had a medal, and he went to Vietnam because he was a marksman, and he went around and would do all these, you know, fancy shows. And he's walking, and he's meeting the guys at in Vietnam, and they're walking across the field, and they get past, and it turns out that some of the VC had dug cubby holes into the ground, and one pops up, and he has like an M16 or something to that effect, AK, and he started rattling, shooting at guys, right? And he goes, everybody scatters. He goes, this guy pulls out his 45, which he is the best shot in all of the Marines, best shot at 15 feet away, and misses 8 times in a row. 8 times in a row from 15 feet. I mean, and he said, luckily, the radio operator was with him, had a sidearm, or had a M16, and just mowed the guy, and that was that. And he didn't kill anybody, but it was just the whole idea. And that guy got laughed out of the Marines. He could not after that, because every single Marine said, yeah, you can shoot at something already dead. We got to shoot
Yeah.
at live,
Well, I
and
think
which is
it's
like I got to figure that it always makes me think of that Forgiven thing when Clint Eastwood says that when you kill someone, you take away everything they were ever going to be.
Well, it's much like many things, right? Like, I don't know, throwing a pot or painting a picture, drawing
Yeah,
a picture, doing math. I mean, like, in order to get better at killing people, sadly to say, I think you need to kill a few people. I mean,
right.
that's just how it goes. It's just like anything.
Well, they work on mechanics, you know, that it's an if then thing, because you can't practice killing people. You just,
Well, that was the
you can
whole
do
thing.
simulations, but you can't really actually feel that you're shooting someone and leaving their body. Their I don't
That was the problem with the
maybe there
Civil
is
War.
some way to do that. I don't know how to do that. That I don't know how you can train for that to be good at it before you need to do it for the first time. I think that what the military usually does in their training system is to get you to if I see somebody that looks like Zach, I pull up my weapon and I shoot mid round in the square area to disarm them. And I don't, and it's just an automatic reaction to anybody wearing a white shirt, and they just pull up the gun and shoot. There is no, you cannot. It's not, uh, uh, it's not think, get ready, shoot. It's get ready, shoot, then think. You cannot think if you're going to kill somebody because if you do, the other guy will not be thinking and he will kill you. And it's just
Yep.
like that's just
That's how it
that's
goes.
the whole mentality of it. And I think that that's the problem with people with guns in their houses. It's like, I mean, I remember what's her name said. Hold on, we were talking about anger, and all of a sudden we're talking about guns. And I guess
I
there's a
mean,
correlation.
there is
There's got to
definitely
be.
correlation.
I mean, I would think that, the people that with heavy anger issues should not have access. And you see like a lot of cops that are just mean and nasty and horrible people, and they give them guns and they allow them to shoot,
Well,
and
because
it's
those
like,
people go to those professions. It's much like
yeah,
how pedophiles
go to
are
priests.
attracted to being the priesthood. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Because
Because
you have
you
access to underage kids. And it's like, and it's the same thing
exactly
as like,
anger in a long time.
think
Mainly
about the
because I
times.
stopped letting traffic bother me. Because I was in the car with somebody and they asked me, they're like, "What does it matter? Why does it matter so much?" And I was like, "That's a great question. That's a great question.
When I
It's a good
inhale and I
question."
think it's fine. But when someone does something that is uh uh like you're in a traffic, right? And there's a shoulder and people cut on the shoulder and start running up the side shoulder. That's not an accident. That's because they believe that they're more important. And if something does happen, that is supposed to be an escape for if anybody gets hurt and the ambulances come. Well, if they're on there running it up, clogging it, if someone does get hurt, well, you're fucked, you
Well,
know?
what you're explaining too is the whole issue of the rule or a law-abiding
Fairness.
citizen, right?
Right.
And it's like, oh, I follow all these laws, I pay my taxes, but all these people don't do that. They don't follow the rules. They
Right.
don't pay their taxes. But here I am being a good person. Why am I being a good person? What for? What does
No.
that do good for me?
No.
And you
No.
wonder that in a second, but then it goes
Mm-hmm.
away, and you're like, well, society couldn't function without good people like me.
Right.
It really couldn't. It couldn't at all.
Well, I'm your counterpart, so I'm trying to
And I'm the
offset your
best.
goodness.
And that's really what
Yeah.
this whole podcast is about.
Well, no, when you think about the anger, I mean, I can look at I'm trying to think like, I mean, probably the most angry I've ever been is when I felt uh uh cheated
Oh yeah.
and there was nothing I could do about it.
I feel
That
the same
that
way.
is that to me I mean,
When you feel
that
screwed over,
right.
when you feel
And
deliberately
there's no
screwed,
recourse and there's no like
yeah,
legitimate recourse and
that
you're
is
like,
exactly where mine comes from too.
yeah. And it's just like, oh,
Getting punched in the face would be better,
right,
than
exactly.
being
Because I
deliberately
feel that
screwed
that's
over,
I understand that.
especially by people you know.
Oh,
Oh
that's yeah. Well,
gosh.
that's who it's
Yeah.
gonna do it, you
Well,
know?
when somebody defiles your trust, I think
Yeah.
that that is really number one for me. That is definitely
Yeah.
number one for me,
Integrity
especially
is the home run.
the longevity of the relationship relies
Hmm.
upon a sort of form of trust, right? That is instinctual, and that you say, well, our relationship has gotten this far. We've been friends this long, therefore you won't do this to me. When in
Hmm.
fact, it doesn't matter at all. They will,
Hmm.
people will screw you over any time of day,
Hmm.
doesn't
Oh
really
yeah, they
matter.
will.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've had like so many. I had more recent. What am I thinking of? I remember at GSI, Global Securities Information. It was me and Harrison, and then we had the other partner there, right? And we're having a heated argument about what we're going to build make next. And we're sitting at a table in an office, and there's four chairs, and he's on one end, I'm on the other, Harrison's in the middle, and he balls up a piece of paper, hard wad, hits me right in the face in the middle of the
Yeah.
conversation, and Harrison, decade later, when I talked to him, said, I thought it was over. Because the way you stood up off the table and your fists looked like they were going to break. And then you just looked at me and said, I got to go. And I went out the door because I was doing exactly what I said I do, which is like, okay, I'm going to jump across the table and I'm going to pound him. And one of us is going to die.
Who
Because
was this though? Was that like somebody in the
that
company?
was Nick.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
And
chief technology officer,
I
correct?
don't
Okay.
think he realized how insulting that was or how
Disrespectful. That's what
right.
that sounds like.
And that to
Deliberately
me,
disrespectful.
yeah. And I just like, to me, it was like, I never disrespected it. I don't remember disrespecting anybody at the company.
Yeah.
I would not do that. That is like, and if I did, I would do it behind closed doors, which it was, but there was a problem. There were three of us there, not two.
There's some
Right. So
connotation
he
too that we're trying to
disrespected
build
me in
something.
front of probably the second most important person in my life, my first partner. He disrespected me in front of him. And I got up and I had to think, and I said, if I do this, this company dissolves. All those people are without jobs. This will be a bloody, nasty, ugly, ugly fight no matter what happens. It didn't matter. And that's what and I thought it through, and I'm sitting there with the whole hostility, and I get up and I just leave,
Smart. Separate
and I
yourself
just left.
always.
But I've done that a number of times when I get hugely, when I get over, when I realize that staying is not a good decision because you're going to escalate a thousandfold. You know, you're
Yelling
either
at
going to punch
people
them in
is
the
never a
nose
good idea.
and you're not going to stop. I'm going to do like what you say. When you get in there and it's like when someone makes you angry, you don't stop.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah,
separate myself every time.
right. That's
It's
it. That's the only way to do
always
it.
a good idea to do
But it's
that.
like the other type of thing that you think about anger is like anger and frustration. It's like, well, breakups. You know,
I
I've
don't know if
been
anger resulted in a breakup.
no, no,
I don't
no. I
know.
would say you don't think that after the fact that you were that it was hurt because nature intense emotional response anger is to a hurt, and that's what that is. It involves feelings of tension, hostility, antagonism, often urging a fight, but it's strongly just emotional. And I think that you go through a certain amount of hating the other party that dumped you. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I
Yeah.
ever. I hated them for other reasons, but never directly because of
Oh no, not
an
because of that.
ending.
I
Yeah,
would, I would,
ulterior things definitely, but
yeah, I would
not.
say they cheated and they were shit and this, that, and the other,
Yeah,
and really
yeah.
angry and they slept with this guy or that, and that was horrible. And when in reality we weren't married and I didn't have any key on it and all that. And you go into all that whole stress of your mind, and when you fall in love and the other party doesn't fall in love, you're in a very, very bad situation, you know. And it happens both ways. And weirdly, it happened to me both ways. I
It's
had
bad
women
to be on
fall
either side of that from my
right. I
experience.
Yeah, I
You
fell
know,
in. I had women fall in love with me. Shocker. And I just didn't have it for them. And I couldn't make it. And you know, and same thing. I fell for women and they didn't have it for me. And it's like, and I think until you get on in years, maybe you can understand it more and that it controls it. But when someone when someone leaves you, and it doesn't matter what they say, you draw your own conclusions. First you're heartbroken, you're heartfelt and all that kind of stuff, but then at some point you're like, there's I hate them, I want them back. I hate them, I want them back.
everybody wants something, is what I found.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Everybody wants something,
I
whether
I'm just
it's
thinking about
nobody
like
wants nothing.
yeah. Yeah.
Everything is transactional in this life.
And then
Everything
you
is.
find out that if you actually got back together with them, it would be horrible.
Oh
You know.
yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
you move.
I'm a big believer. A lot of people don't believe this, but everything happens for a reason. You know, I'm a big believer
Well,
in that.
well, but I mean, think that statement through. Come on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think about everything that's happened in my life.
That's a low thought statement. Okay. I'll just say that. I'll pick on you right
All
now
right, pick on me.
because, well, of course, everything happens for a reason.
There you go. Yeah,
You breathe, you're alive, you walk, you talk
exactly. So is
because
that
of
not
the
true?
earth.
Is that not true?
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
See, it's true.
Yeah.
It might be a low thought statement, but it's also a statement that can get you to overcome
Okay. Here, I'll just say
exceptional hardship. Exceptional hardship, I will say.
at the end of the day,
You know what happens at the end of the day? Night happens. And then you
yeah.
go to sleep and then you
Yep.
wake up the next day,
I
you
know.
know?
I
And
love
then
that as
something
though
happens
that's
to you then and that changes your life.
somebody
So
so many times
everything happens for a reason. There you go.
I
There you go. Does it not? The
There-
sun
those are
shines.
the two phrases that just that they make me angry. Okay.
Photosynthesis happens. We
No, I
get
love
oxygen from the
photosynthesis.
plants.
I anger and I
Everything
mean when
happens for a
people
reason.
say at the end of the day and everything happens for a reason, I'm thinking like no fucking shit.
Well, that gets you through the day, you know.
Do
It
you
gets you
know
gets you
it
to.
it rains when there's clouds and they call for rain.
But these
It
obvious statements are what help you. I swear.
do you know it snows in the wintertime sometimes?
Because sometimes, I don't know, over processed intervention of your own life is unnecessary. I think overlooking or not
Okay,
overlooking.
okay,
Yeah,
I okay. Simplicity is wonderful.
there you go. See,
Okay, okay, I can I there you
and
go. I
that's
can
where
I
that comes
you're
from.
you're getting me there, but please don't say at the end of the day
You're getting a
because
T-shirt for your birthday that says everything happens for a reason. That's what you're.
oh yeah, I love it.
That's gonna be
Hey,
a
can you
soccer
make the
jersey.
I want the letters in rainbows
I could do that.
because
That's
then people
easy.
will look at it and go like, "Are you or what? What?"
Vistaprint.com.
Yeah,
Vistaprint.
two rainbow colors so people think, "What? Everything happens for a reason. What are you talking about? Did you stoop some guy? No." Whatever. Can I
No,
say
I
that?
think
Can I say that?
traffic.
I don't know if I can say that. Anger, man. Back to anger. When I think about like the different things, I mean, give me one of yours. Were you angry that day when you beat up those three guys?
Oh,
Do
when
you
I
remember
was
that?
like 7 or like
Yeah, do
9
you
or
remember
something.
that? Do you remember that? It was a football
Oh
game.
yeah, no, I
You
was
were playing football.
well, no, I was angry. Yeah, 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 100%.
Yeah.
Cuz yeah, no, I was because I
Why were
felt
you angry?
belittled. I felt belittled
Yeah, because they kept
amongst
giving you a play to run and then they wouldn't throw it.
exactly, exactly.
They
That's what happened.
disrespected you over and
Well,
over and over.
and then not even that. It was the whole principle that we went there after school, and that like
Yeah.
I went out of my way to come here to be disrespected. Nah, I mean
To be
that's
part of
what.
your group and your group just shit on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember that was watching your anger in motion was incredible. I was like, "Oh my
I
God."
always thought I would have been a good fighter. You know, I always thought that.
The way
I
that
always thought
you
that.
I
I
mean,
still kind of
whatever
think that to some degree. You
you would
know.
be, but it's an ugly thing that totally destroys your face and your brain and your
Well,
ears.
think about Mickey Rourke at the age of 50. You know,
Ugh.
that went back into boxing.
Uh-huh.
And then now got really a lot of plastic surgery and it's like irrecoverable. And also what is it, CTDs or whatever, the traumatic brain injuries,
Mhm.
or you don't fully recover from those, you know.
Do you know any really shockingly smart intellectual boxers in their 50s,
I would,
60s?
other than Muhammad Ali, no, I
He's
don't.
dead.
Well, they're yeah, I mean when he was alive, you know.
He lived to
But
his 50s, but he had Parkinson's and he had all the,
well,
you know.
how old was he though when he died?
Oh, good question.
I think he was older than 60.
So now we're talking about boxing from anger.
ADHD podcast. Death age here. Let's see.
Yeah.
74.
Wow.
There you go. See?
Hmm.
There you go.
So he lived. And he
Same thing with like I can't imagine MMA, right? Oh my gosh,
yeah,
getting choked out on a
regular basis
fighting base, however often you fight. I don't know. I'm guessing you fight a lot when you're in the
in the
lower
beginning.
ranks, right?
Yeah.
But then now, like McGregor's kind of retired. Khabib is retired.
Hmm.
There's all these random guys.
Would
I
you see
watched
all the thing about him?
Khabib
No,
or
Khabib's
McGregor.
actually was always a stand-up person. He was crazy, but
Yeah,
McGregor raped somebody,
really?
was found guilty and civilly for some weird
How
thing.
recent was this? I
Like
heard nothing about this.
okay, McGregor and rape. Let's see. My God, we're checking all this stuff out because I just saw this, and the reason I bring it up,
I didn't even I've never heard of that. It doesn't shock me though. My I knew somebody that met him one time and I almost had
yeah,
the opportunity to meet him at a
really,
bar in Austin, funny enough, yeah. At a
yeah.
bar in Austin.
He loses appeal in a civil rape case in July
Wow.
2025. That's when he lost.
Wow. So is he going to prison or what?
No, it's civil. So it's really
What does that
weird.
mean? I don't
That
understand what that
means
means.
that means that they
He
didn't
just
have
want
enough
money?
evidence. The crime they weren't presumed criminally. They were only
How is that
pursued.
possible?
It's really weird. It's the same thing that happened to Trump. You know,
No.
and he's
That's
ordered
very
to pay
interesting too.
206,000 damages to Nikita Hand, who accused him of raping her in a hotel. He appealed to grounds that his lawyers believe his answers to police during the interview should not have been put before the jury.
Uh
What? His barrister argued that the question on the issue paper given to the jury to help them decide their verdict should have been worded differently. Uh, he was not in court for the ruling. She attended the hearing with supporters. Police heard it during the original case. The jury heard that McGregor said no comment around 100 times when he was interviewed by the police.
That's interesting that a crime is not criminally prosecuted. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I don't
Well, they didn't
understand. I
feel.
never heard of something like
Here's the
that.
thing. Here's the difference with a civil case. It's a preponderance of the evidence. Do you know what that means?
What does preponderance mean?
That means if we look at the evidence, it pretty much looks like you did it. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
But if I want to put you in jail, beyond a reasonable doubt, much, much higher. So even though I can't put you in jail, like look at uh, O.J. Simpson.
Hmm.
He killed his wife and her boyfriend or
Do
whatever
you
the
think he
hell
did it?
pizza guy. Yeah, and but he whacks them. He gets off, but the family, her family, sues him and gets a $23 million verdict, which
Hmm.
he can never pay because he never had that kind of money. Because a preponderance of the evidence puts him at the scene, puts him in violent contact with her multiple
Okay, I
times,
see.
shows that he had the black gloves that fit him. It was at his house. There was no other witnesses. They were in a fight. There was all this like a whole lot of circumstantial evidence, and so
I remember they were saying it was the mailman. I'm like, I don't think that. Why would the
no, I don't.
mailman
I
do
don't.
that?
No,
That
no.
doesn't make any sense.
He whacked her and got away with it, but then he ended up serving. He doubled time 4 or 5 times later for
He
all the
did
other
that
stupid
weird
shit.
thing. Yeah, that was like he sold his memorabilia to this guy, and then
Yeah.
he went to go get it back by
No,
buying it
no.
back,
Somebody
and then
he had
he.
sold his memorabilia years before for his lawyer fees, and then this guy had bought it through a third party, and he said, "Hey, he wanted to buy it back," and he goes over and meets him at the hotel, and instead of just O.J. Simpson's like 6'2", 6'3", was a monster guy, right? Instead of just saying, "Fuck you, Zach, I'm taking this shit," he pulls out a gun.
Oh, yeah, that's 21 years automatic.
What happens when you pull a fucking gun out on
That's plus
anybody?
20. Au-
Well, no,
Automatic.
no, it's
No,
not
really.
plus. It's not plus 20 if you're white.
Oh,
Okay, it's plus 20 if you're black.
okay,
It's
interesting.
very, very clear, and you could say, Phil, you're being blah blah, and
I
it's
didn't
like,
realize he
no,
pulled out a gun. I thought he just
he
assaulted him and beat him half to death or something.
he did hit him a couple times, but he had a gun, and having a gun is like,
That's
you
not good.
can't do
That's
that,
assault
and
with
you're
a
thinking
deadly
like,
weapon too, which is not
yeah, yeah, and
good.
so he got 13 years. But Conor McGregor, uh, for everything they said, it's like he raped her. He raped her in a hotel room. He invited her in and the whole kind of thing and got her in there and,
Mm.
and against her will had sex with her, raped her. I don't know if he beat her or how horrible. I don't, I'm assuming that if someone had sex with you against your will and it was a man, he was poking you in the ass, you'd, you'd be traumatized, right?
Yes.
I would be, and so if you're a woman and someone forces themselves on them, they got to feel the same nasty, awful way. I mean, you would feel traumatized and sue him, and he gets it. And here's the horrible thing: Jimmy Fallon had him on uh uh his show, the
Oh yeah.
late, yeah, and that became a big
I've
thing.
never
That
been a fan. I've never
Yeah,
been
and
a
it's
fan
like
of that either.
why would the late night guy have the rapist on there?
Yeah, that's weird.
I mean, the one thing that happened is like after OJ got found not guilty, he never did another commercial.
Oh wow.
He never did,
Blacklisted.
and he was doing, yeah, literally, and that was a joke, and
I I actually got that one. Yeah.
but it was like really, and then here's Conor McGregor, and he's guilty, and well, look at we got a president who was, guilty of rape, and what? He's, hey, I guess women's rights are
It does
pretty
seem
much
more and more that having moral and ethical kind of standards doesn't matter. I don't know. But I
right.
think that at the same time, I mean, like, people say good always wins, right? But I don't know. I saw this thing the
Who
other
says
day.
that?
I don't know. Somebody does somewhere. And it seems
Hmm.
time and time again that we just live on a prison planet,
Yeah,
where people in unfortunate circumstances are born. And then in those unfortunate circumstances have to work for the rest of their lives and pay a billionaire's wages, right? And it's just, and then if they get hurt or something, then the hospital garnishes their wages. And to me, that sounds like prison. I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I
It
mean,
sounds
look,
like prison for about
was
99% of this
Pol Pot
country.
was in his 70s and he died an old man and he killed 350,000 people.
There you
We
go.
have
For having glasses sometimes.
Pinochet killed millions in Chile, and he died an old man. I mean, I think we gave money. The Shah of Iran. The reason that we have problems with Iran today is because we guarded him when he came here in 1979. Carter did not turn him back over to his people, and we suffered for that. And we've suffered for that ever since. They would have been our best friends if we just handed over that horrible, bloody dictator that we put into place years
Yeah, the
earlier.
older
We
I
just
get,
didn't
the
do it.
more it seems like evil seems to just be winning all the
Yeah.
time, you know?
Yeah. It is. It is sad. It is sad. I mean, and he
Especially
died here
being
of cancer.
born in an imperialist nation,
Yeah.
and all we've ever fought are imperialist wars. I don't know.
Well, see, and then
Kind
you
of
have the,
interesting.
I mean, I don't understand the whole be good and all that kind of stuff that you hear. It's like live with your anger. When you think about the anger in general,
Well, if you
whatever,
can be
whatever points.
evil and you can live with it, I guess be evil because I can't
Yeah.
do that. Because if I was evil, I couldn't live with myself. Because
I
that's
couldn't hurt a
why
kitten.
I try to be good because then I can live with myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being evil is costly on the soul to some people,
Yeah.
but others
Yeah.
not so much. Others
Well,
not
think
so
about,
much.
I mean, when you think about the different points and times that you've been angry, other angry. I mean, I think about business, home life. When have I been angry at? I'm trying to remember. Many, many, many times with the father. Uh, my mother, occasionally. I don't. I can't remember a single time where it rose to the level of anger. My sisters and brothers. Uh, Usually, it was like fisticuffs with Edwin and
But
Seth.
that's natural, I feel like.
Seth and
'Cause
I had a fight in the. I remember in the kitchen, and he was on top of me and hitting me, and I grabbed a beer bottle, and he just totally freaked out because I was going to bash his skull in, but and he backed off, and then that was that, and then
good times.
but
That's funny.
never had I mean, I think the last time I had a fight with my sister, I was like 6 or 7, and I hit her because she could beat me up until then, and then I hit her and she cried, and I don't remember how old I was, but that was the worst feeling in the world to hit your sister and have her cry. And then I realized, and she was 2 years older than me, or 18 months, or whatever the heck it was, and that to me was just I felt like I had failed as a kid, and I was a tiny kid. I mean, 7, 8, 9, something like that. I
You
don't know,
knew it was wrong.
but we
Yeah.
fought hand to hand all the time, and she was a tom girl, and she could beat my ass. And then all of a sudden, I finally get to a point where I can win, and she cried, and I was just like,
It's cheating. Yeah, it
but I
sounds like cheating to
lost.
me.
I lost, and it was the
Um,
most hollow feeling I've ever had. And that's when I said, no, it's not. The downside to hitting a woman is just so no. So from 7 on, I think I've never hit a woman since then.
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's positive.
I learned it. I learned it the hard way. Yeah. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. But anger, like anger on the road, anger in business. I've been angry with business, but more calculating. I mean, oh, I remember big angry scene. Probably third year in business at GSI. This would have been 89, 90. We had a Deb. I won't give her last name. She ultimately, years later, committed suicide. It was a horrible
Oh,
thing.
with the
Anyway,
massager thing that you still have.
yeah, she's the one that gave me the
Wow.
massager
You
thing.
still
And
have that, do you?
yep.
Wow.
She's just this bright light of a human being. And we had these stacks of documents on the tables at the SEC. And this is before online filings. And you had to pick the documents up and you took them over to the copier and made copies. And she had a list she was our watch person. So if a document came in, she'd check to see if IBM's 10K came in and she'd grab it and then she'd take it over, get a copy. Then we'd send it to the customer. She's over there running through the watch list. And a guy walks up behind her and she's bent over the table, like forward, and he walks up behind her and he spreads his legs and he does the bounce on her ass,
That's crazy. That's insane.
And I snapped because she was someone that I work with, and I liked her and respected her and all that kind of stuff
You
like
don't want
that.
employees to be fearful
Yeah,
of
and she
where
was
they
my
work either.
employee too. So I walked over to her and she turns around and she goes, "That's not right." And she's yelling at him. And I walked over and I stepped in between her and I started tapping him on the chest immediately. We need to talk. We need to talk outside right now. Because I knew if I did anything in the room that I was going to lose my business. But if I took him outside, it would be simple assault and I'd go to a local jail. And that's the way I was thinking right then. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, simple assault I can deal with. I can pay a lawyer. It's not a big deal. I beat him up. No one cares. But I had a set mind.
Hmm.
And it was so weird that I remember all my staff from that point on when I worked with Harrison, because Harrison was like bigger than me, stronger, louder,
Hmm.
all that kind of stuff. He could beat up half the room, and he's a monster of a guy. They no longer, somebody said, actually, I'm not scared of Richard. I'm scared of Phil when he's mad. Because
I have the same thing. I think that there is
yeah,
a
there
brown
was a
genetic
click.
trait.
He clicked it. I just went crazy. And I didn't say anything, but I was very, very deliberate. I tapped him on his chest until he get to the wall. I went nose to nose with him while he was against the wall, and he was like doing this. He didn't know what to do. He did not know what to do. And I was waiting. I was saying, and I was just tapping him on the chest, and my nose was right there. My eyes were 3 inches from his eyes, and I was like,
When you put a predator in their place, I mean,
yeah. And
it's a weak-willed person to begin with, so
he
there's
never
no
messed with
really.
anybody again.
There you go. Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember the security lady coming around the corner, and she goes, "Is there a problem here?" And I said, "No, we're just going to go outside." And he goes, "I can't go outside." And I looked at him. I said, "What do you mean? I thought we were going to go outside." And he goes, I can't go outside. I I can't go. I can't go outside. I can't go outside right now. I'm busy." He was just like, "Look, oh, by the way, I'm sorry too." It was the weirdest thing, and people around there were like, because they'd seen me as this happy, jovial, friendly, go
Hmm.
never, ever, ever, ever snap. That day I snapped. And I snapped very rarely. But when I snap, you know, so I don't know. But I didn't have to do anything, so I don't really know if I'm all that strong or if it's just more intimidation and all that. So, you know. But like you, it's like I mean, I saw you that day and I was
Blood
like,
in my eyes.
yeah,
Blood in my
when those
eyes.
three, the first guy you came up and you hit him and he went down on the ground on the first punch. The other guy came over to grab your arm. You hit him. He went down on the ground. The third guy came over and grabbed behind you and grabbed you. You elbowed him in the gut, turned around, punched him in the face. He fell down. The first guy was getting up. You went over to the first guy and you punched him. He goes back down on the ground. The second guy's getting up. You run over to him and you punch him. The third guy starts to get up, sees you coming towards him, stays down. I got there at that point. I was
Did you get
probably,
out of the car? You got
my
out of the
God, I jumped out of the car, there's an 8 foot fence there. I jumped the fence. I ran towards you because I knew the way you were. And I'd seen you do that before. You did that when you were like there, you were probably like, that was fifth grade. So what were you, 10,
nine or eight.
9?
Yeah,
Well,
8 or 9.
when you were in Cub Scouts, your very first meeting in Cub Scouts, we go, and I remember, and this you were like the anger that balled up in you was goes from anger, and then you cried, and because you cried then right afterward, and you were so sad that you broke, and I was like, no man, he should have beat you. Hey, well, I was shockingly proud, but you did the same thing, and you were like this little guy, we go to the Cub Scout thing. You're on the swing set and you're going back and forth on the
Oh, I
swing set.
forgot about that one.
Oh my God. And this older guy, he was at least 2 grades ahead of you. And he was a full head taller than you. And I'm in the car
He was
and I'm like,
huge.
yeah,
I remember that.
yeah. And I'm letting you deal with it. And he walks up behind you and he puts a hug around you while you're on the swing set and he pulls you off and throws you on the ground. And I'm going like, okay, should I get on my car? And
It's such an interesting
okay. And you got up.
experience.
You got up. You dusted yourself off. You didn't do a damn thing. And he's laughing. And then he walks away. And then you get back on the swing set and you do it. And he comes over and he does it again. And I'm like, that guy's a dick. What's that all about? And you were like, okay. You go and you get back on the swing set. And he grabs you the third time. You elbowed him really, really good, right in the ribs. And he bends over. And when he drops you, he lets go of you and drops you because he was picking you up off the ground. That's how tall he was. And that's how strong he was. He does that. He drops you. You turn around. You hit him 3 or 4 times in the face, like nose, jaw, eye, boom, 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 because he's over. And he's like, he starts crying immediately. And he runs away and he says he's gonna tell his dad because when he pulled you away and I saw you elbow him and turn around and hit him, I was on the fence. I was literally 10, 30 feet away from you. I was like, he's gonna kill that kid. And because you just had that, you had a volatility that
Oh, definitely.
when it got lit, there was somebody was gonna die because you would not, and I was always like, ooh. Ooh.
Well, there was something that happened at camp where a kid ejaculated
Oh
on
yeah.
my pillow.
Oh yeah.
And then I was talking to him about how big of a piece of shit he was. He threw it at me with his
Ooh.
ejaculate on it. And
Ah.
I jumped down from my bunk. I said, come back here. He says, no. He walks out the door. I grab him by his collar, swing him back, throw him against the wood panel, punch his face in until he falls on the ground, start kicking him in the head. And I'm like, okay, I got to stop. I got to stop. Because I think I kicked him in the head twice. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's when you got to stop. Like,
You're gonna kill him.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't until he threw it at me that I was like, oh, you're fucking done. Like,
Yeah.
you're. with
Yeah.
his ejaculate on it. And I'm like,
Wow.
that's
Ejaculate? Is that
and,
I
and
like
this
that
goes
word.
back to what we were saying before about disrespect.
Yeah.
Okay, it's one thing to ejaculate on my pillow. Okay, I can call you a big piece of shit. You have to admit it though. When you don't admit it and then you disrespect me on top of it, I will not take that. I will
Yeah.
not. I will not
Was there
take
anybody
that.
else in the shed when you did that?
There was 5 people in there, and they were like, that's kind of fair. And even the
Yeah.
counselor, I was really, really worried about what the counselor was going to think. Is like, what side of the story would he hear? And then it's later that night, and he comes over. He's like, I heard what you did. I would have done the same thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, there we go. Well, there you go. You know,
Yeah.
that's what
Wow.
happens.
Well, they sent him home, and then we
Th-
came up and we got you.
they did send him home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I
You
think
got
I
sent
got the
home.
flu the week after because I was there for 2 weeks, and then I
Yeah.
had the flu. Yeah, the
Yeah.
summer flu for the
That was
next
ugly.
session. That sucked. And I was
Yep.
sick for a month, I think, or two
Yeah.
months after that. That was
You
good
think about the
time.
anger. Did you have a lot of anger there?
When I had the flu,
No, when you were skating.
only until he threw the pillowcase at me with
When you think about all
his
your years of
liquid on it.
skating, was that? I mean, you used to get really angry when you
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
do. You get angry at
Motor
yourself when you
skill
can't do
thing
stuff.
because you should be able to do it by then. You think that well, it's always learning, right? I mean, I think
Right.
that there's a very specific person in this world that doesn't like to learn or gets frustrated by learning and then just
Hmm.
doesn't learn anything for the rest of their lives.
Well, they learn
And
different ways. I think that's the
well, some
thing.
people
And
that are ignorant, that are wholly
right.
ignorant, that
Well, you hear
choose
about
not to and not to
you.
read and not to understand their place in society or self-actualize. There's a very
Yeah.
stubborn person out there that is a lot of this country right now, and I don't know.
Well, you hear that story about the woman that did that had autism, and that she doesn't learn the way you learn. She doesn't see things the way you see things. She sees them differently. And she learned by structure and she learned by all these different things. Like I know how a cow feels. That's why she figured out the big slaughter things. And
What are you
she's been
talking
one of the,
about?
oh, it was an autistic movie. It was on, I just saw
Oh,
bits and pieces of it all over. And it
interesting.
was, and it's what made me realize that when I look at a page of text and you look at a page of text, we do not see the same thing.
Oh, no, no, we don't. Well, I'm a
You know?
firm believer that special education is incredibly important because there's a reason why I went to a public Ivy. Like, and
Yeah.
and I was labeled mentally deficient
Yeah.
for the entirety of elementary school, and
I don't
seen
think
as
you ever
somebody
got,
who would never accomplish anything. And yet I went to a public Ivy. So there's that. And there's ways these kids just struggle to read because it's not a natural thing. Putting words on a page like hieroglyphics and putting it in front of a first grader and saying jump how high is not the easiest thing to do. A matter of
no,
fact. It's not
no,
the easiest thing to do. And
no,
that's why I
not
think
at
that
all.
Mrs. Skrinkowski taught me how to read.
It makes you angry, doesn't
That
it?
was it was incredible. No, it did. It did for a long time because you want to
Well,
be
it's,
normal. You want to be a normal person like
well,
everybody
thanks.
else. But actually, the special attention is kind of you're learning faster at a more accelerated rate in a different way, you
Yeah.
know. And you're actually more well off than you are
But
being in those gen ed
you also were
classes.
taught less than others because they had special, they learned how to fly rockets and we used to get pissed off by that
Oh, the
because
GT kind of thing, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's your GT, you get to do things that the regular class don't get and it's sort of like, well, that's kind of
A
weird,
lot of them
you
weren't
know.
even more intelligent either and didn't go to good
No, their
colleges or the
mothers
high school
pushed them.
track or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of an interesting onslaught of a I don't know, kind of a niche demographic that was invented called the helicopter mom when I was
Well,
early 2000s.
it wasn't just then. It was long
Do you think
before
in the
and long
90s? When do you
after.
think that happened?
Well, there was the occasional mom. I mean, when I was growing up, all moms stayed home. Mine did not. It was very different
So maybe this
then.
has always been a thing, but they
And
formulated a term
mothers
for
would
it.
the difference is there's a line somewhere in the 80s when the line for advocacy was like if I got in trouble at school, no one would ever call and ask the teacher what she did wrong.
Yeah, that's a
Their
very
first
new
question
thing.
would be like, "What'd you do? Why? And what did you do?" She's an adult. She's expected to treat you with, you're expected to respect you, disrespect you, just whatever, you know. Whereas now you told her to do her homework, and you're like, well,
Well, that was something that I heard too during the pandemic. You had elementary schoolers that had to be on a Zoom call for 8 hours, which is just insane. Like, I don't know, that's just not doable. But then the
yeah,
parents were like, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's your job. Like,
right,
that's your job to
right,
entertain my kid. But I'm like, at the same time, you're in your own house. Like, come on.
yeah,
Like, you have
yeah.
to have some sort of, I don't know,
Well, remember
oversight.
the parents were there too,
Oh, yeah, they're
because
at home. So there's really no
yeah, they were at home.
excuse.
So it's like
There's
what
no
they were
excuse at
doing is,
all.
is like, hey, I used to have a sitter for eight hours a day, and now I don't have one. This is not
Exactly.
fair. Yeah,
Exactly. And
they
then
needed to
people
be pulled
realize that
in.
maybe they didn't really want to have children, you know? Like, maybe
Well,
that's what
the
they realized. I
when
don't
you look
know.
at the education system, when we talk to the teachers that we know, they said that that group of students are well behind others,
Oh, 100%,
and
without a doubt.
yet the counties still push them forward.
Well, that was like
You
a lot
know,
of people in college that I knew that dropped out. I'm like, it's the easiest it's ever been. Why are you
yeah,
dropping out? It's
because
really,
they're
well, is it
stupid.
really that easy? Because it's all on you. Whereas a lot of it was on you before to show up to this place at this time. Now it's you need to open your laptop, press enter, and then show up kinda. Like I remember taking naps
Yeah.
during gen ed classes and stuff like that while I
Hmm.
was in the Zoom meeting. And they'd say, "Oh, you're still in the Zoom meeting. Are you there?" I'm like, "Oh, yep. All right." But
Yeah.
I don't know. But then you still have to do all the work because there was a lot more homework, I think, during the pandemic that you needed to follow through on, like modules and whatnot, instead of in-class work, which
Yeah.
was really self-reliant, which a lot of people don't have, you know.
Yeah. But you got that from where they had, I mean, you were doing 2 and 3 hours of homework in third grade. That was just
Oh, it
stupid.
was ridiculous.
That was the
Yeah. No, that
dumbest thing and the
was a
type of
lot.
teaching I'd ever seen. And now I'm sure that if you were this super brighty, whatever, that maybe they do stuff quicker. I mean, I remember when I was in elementary school, I finished my homework in class before I left.
We
They gave
never
us,
had time to do that. Yeah.
we always had 10 or 15 minutes at the end of the class and saying, if you can get your homework done. And I would do like 95% of it. And then I would do it the next morning before I handed it in. And it would be like, no. And I'm thinking like, and I would see your stuff come home and I'd be like, they gave you 9 pages for one fucking night. What kind
Yeah,
of,
it's
this is
crazy.
just
It was
dumb,
insane.
you
It
know?
was very, very insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that you know what's funny is I think that formula of that
Hmm.
abrasive work ethic like
Yeah.
really transitioned into high school because I remember a lot of people that I went to high school with just didn't do the homework and they're like, well, what's the repercussions? And I'm like, but I would feel physically ill if I didn't
Right.
complete it because as a kid you feel scolded, right? And that
Right.
transferred over into high school where I would feel physically ill if I
Oh
didn't finish
God.
a project. And I
R-
finished all my homework, you know, and I did all the things.
remember the trip from Zurich to
26
Zurich on the
page math
train,
pack. Oh
and
my
you
God.
had a 26-day break, and you had 26 pages of math,
And there were
and
no
I was like, you got to do
repercussions
one
for
every
not
day.
finishing it. Yeah.
That was the horrible afterward. But I remember on
Even
the
in
train.
college, that would happen, which was disgusting. Like
Yeah.
I remember finishing 15-page papers, and then like there was always that one guy that, or like five people that were like, "Can I get an extension?" And it's like summer. He's like, "Yeah, just finish it at the end of the summer." And I'm like, "At the end of the summer? At the end of the summer? Really?" They're like,
Wow.
schools are too soft now,
Yeah.
especially college.
Well,
So
but
soft.
stop for a moment. Stop for a moment and look in society and look at what are the repercussions for people today. The people in power don't have consequences, or the consequences they
There
have
you
are
go.
mild. They're mild. They're not the same. They're different. If you're poor and you have less, your consequences are significantly higher. And
Consequences
I
at
think we've
work,
switched. I think
being
we've kind of
fired. I don't know.
shifted from anger to something different, you know?
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
I think about, I remember there that I was so angry with the school for giving you so much homework over the
And
thing.
it
And I
didn't
remember
matter. It didn't
it was
matter.
just,
It
yeah.
didn't matter at
And it
all.
was like,
Because I think like
yeah,
70% of the class didn't even do it. And
yeah,
then Mr. Hall was like, okay, fine. Don't even turn it
yeah,
in. And I was like,
yeah.
you're serious?
No grade.
You're serious? No grade. And it's
And
also at
no,
the same time, looking back, like being in elementary school, they were scolding me for not memorizing certain things because I thought they were too hard and I would just rely on the extra credit. And they were like, that's a bad thing to do. And I'm like, it's a bad thing to strategize. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
if I
smart.
can't comprehend this thing, then why is me relying on the extra credit that I actually know a bad thing? Like, I remember that too. And
Wow.
then it was things like that that I don't know, makes me think about the education system. I can't
Bad
imagine what it's like
teachers.
now. I feel like it's really easy now. I don't know.
Well, we had good teachers and bad teachers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can count the bad teachers on your all your fingers and all your toes, and about half the hair on your head. You can count the good teachers on your left hand.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I probably could say, I mean, I had average to good teachers most of the time. I had a few teachers that that I thought were, I mean, my worst teachers were at Old Dominion. I mean, I had a English 16th century English history or something like that. The guy that taught us all this about Chaucer and all that. And
Yeah, I hated that.
I remember
I hated
that
that.
he would we would read. It was all reading, and I loved it. I liked it, and then it was interpretation, right?
Hmm.
And he would be in the audience. He would be in class, and we would ask questions. Well, why is it that everybody's settled on this symbolism? And his response would be, uh, it's settled by minds that are much sharper than yours. There's no reason for you to try to question this interpretation of this poem. And you'd be like, okay.
Similar things in my English degree as
All you
well.
want me to do is parrot back whatever bullshit that
Exactly.
you have eaten
Still the same,
lines of bullshit
if you
for
wanted to know.
years.
Yeah.
And it's like, I see, to me, art and stuff like that is always like, and that made me angry. That
Hmm.
made me angry walking out of there.
Yeah.
I still remember that guy. I still remember him saying it. And I was thinking,
Yeah.
like, I'm not allowed to punch a teacher in the face because,
It's still the same
yeah,
way too, because I remember the TA that I had for English
yeah,
3001 was like saying, "Oh, I was a biochemistry major, but I decided to get my doctorate in English, so therefore I'm so important because I'm making the sacrifice." I'm like, one, that sounds like you're just trying not to get a job, but two,
yeah.
it's at the same time, his great sacrifice resulted in him knowing absolutely everything that had to do with medieval game playing, specifically in the Green Knight short story. And apparently everything I wrote was just a C. So I was like, okay. And it was funny because the professor, because that's the TA, the professor
Yeah.
graded one paper a year or a semester, I guess, at
Yeah.
the end of each semester, and I got an A on it. And that was the professor instead of the TA. And I was getting like C minus C. There's nothing I could do. I would literally rewrite it too, and it was the same grade. I'm like, I don't understand. I don't know. It seems like his sacrifice resulted in a sort of bias of his teaching style.
Right.
If I
He
don't know.
didn't like you.
No,
That was
exactly.
I mean, that's another thing that you lose when
Oh,
you're, I mean,
100%.
in writing and math, it's simple for the
Yeah.
most part because, 2 and 2 is 4. If you put 5, it's wrong. You can argue all you want that it should be 5 and the reasons why, but it's 4. So,
Exactly.
but in English, if you write a paragraph, it's like, well, is it good? Is it bad?
Is
That's
it readable?
subjective.
Is it
Is it
legible? I don't know.
readable? Are the words spelled? Is the grammar right? Is the indentation right? I mean, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
What are you gonna do?
Make your points, put them together, shoot them out, and run them down. You know.
Well, I think that's our episode. I think
Oh
we're
yeah, I
wrapped
think
here.
we're
Definitely.
over.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
guys for listening. As always, check out our website and the YouTube.
Yep.
We have full length episodes on there.
And we'd love to
Um,
hear some expressions on anger.
yep. Tell us when you were most angry in your life. That sounds great.
So can I, if I interrupt you 3 more times, we'd be angry.
7 more times minimum.
7 more times. Okay, I'm keep count, folks. We got to do that.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.